Barry. Barry, with all due respect, I'm not aware of any meetings that were canceled, but I do support. Yeah. I do think that there is a place for vaccines. I saw Secretary Kennedy probably just this morning where he was encouraging folks to make their decision about the measles vaccines. I think it's up to all of us. And yeah, I've had my measles vaccine and many others. So I think we should be able to make our own minds up. So I'm gonna support your decisions to make up your own mind. That's what I'm gonna do about it. Go ahead.
Our next comment comes from Leanne, L-I-A-N-E. Leanne, zip code 28804. Regarding the Department of Education and Medicaid cuts.
Good evening. This is a piggyback with what was mentioned earlier about Medicaid, but it's a little different. Medicaid, as we all know, is jointly funded by the state and federal. And it appears that President Trump has mentioned that Medicaid funding should go back to the state, some parts of it. Many folks that are on Medicaid are those that have disabilities, children with disabilities, nursing care, and especially kids that are under Title I and speech services. These people cannot afford it out of their pocket. The Department of Education has mentioned that there's going to be cuts. This will affect those with disabilities and those with under Title I funding that had been protected under IDA, which is the Individual Disabilities of Education Act. How will you, Congressman Edwards, deal with this for the folks that are our neighbors, our families, and our friends?
I think, yeah. And I appreciate that question. I think that I've been very clear. I do support the abolishment of the Department of Education. Now, I also agree that there is a vulnerable population out there that needs to continue to be protected, such as the disabled. And I believe that there is a way to do that and adjust federal law of what the expectation of Congress is, not that of a bunch of bureaucrats in another administration building, but what the wishes of Congress would be, such as states would be given a block grant to do the things that the federal government's doing now, and expected to follow the laws that Congress passes. So that's on the education piece. On the Medicaid piece, President Trump has made it very clear to me and to other members of Congress that it is not his intent, and I believe it is not Congress's intent, to disrupt the benefits of the most vulnerable amongst us, such as the disabled and the poor that cannot afford those services themselves. And you've seen no action so far to make those disruptions.
Our next question or comment comes from, it's either SB or JB, zip code 28804. Regarding the future of American democracy. Is there a SB or a here? What are you why are you doing nothing while Trump destroys the U.S. Constitution?
I think I sense a I think I sense maybe a faction in this room of folks that that might not have voted for President Trump, and I'll say that I happen to believe very much that President Trump supports our Constitution. And I sleep good at night knowing that every vote that I cast is in support of our Constitution and your freedoms and limited government.
Our next question comes, or comment comes from Pam, zip code 28739. Pam, regarding the role of Congress.
Okay. Our president is ignoring laws passed by Congress. What are you doing to take back your power as our congressman?
Pam, I'm not sure that I agree with you on the premise of your question. But what I hear a lot is, what I hear from a lot of folks is they disagree with some of the cost savings that are being put into place. So let me say this to you. That I'll give you a few seconds to make a clarification if you'll allow me to answer the premise of the question as I understand it, because I do get a lot of feedback from folks saying the president's not spending the money that they were given by Congress. There is nothing in the Constitution that says every dollar that Congress sends the administration has to be spent. It is very clear that those funds, in order to be respent in any other way, have to be rescinded by Congress. And so we're allowing the administration that we have right now to conduct its work. And then Congress will go back and look at those various cost-saving ideas and decide what, if anything, and I feel pretty sure we'll find some costs that, some money out there that we want to rescind. That's my interpretation of the question because I hear so many people ask it. But if you want to clarify, I'll give you a few seconds to do that.
Congress approved the IG Act in the 80s, and the IG has, as a former federal employee of an IG, those group, they already have investigators and auditors to investigate. Those people that are in charge of those agencies were fired without their 30-day notice, as Congress mandated. Agencies created by Congress and mandated by Congress are having employees fired and shuttered without Congress saying anything or doing anything. Money that has been approved by Congress to pay for grain from Iowa and Kansas was approved and paid for, shipped, sitting there waiting to be delivered, and it was pulled back by the administration. These are things that Congress has approved. Congress controls the purse. You hold the pocketbook. You create the agencies. You make the laws.
I've got the question now, and so to half of your question, I would have to go back and say that the premise in which I interpreted it was correct. That Congress appropriates money. We do have the power of the purse. There's nothing in the Constitution that says the president has to spend every single dollar of it. It was approved to be sent to the administration to be dispersed under the control of the president. The second premise of your question was that there were agencies created by Congress, and those are still in place. No agency has been dissolved as of yet. And so there's nothing there at all that is unconstitutional. What do we got, Mark?
Our next question is from Keith, zip code 28712. Keith, regarding Ukrainian parolees.
So in 2022, I sponsored a family of 3. And when they arrived, the mom was pregnant. So she had a baby at Mission Hospital. She's 3 now. And like some of the others have said, there's humanitarian parolee status and also the temporary protected status, which my family has. They have the humanitarian parolee status and the temporary protected status. And there's talk about revoking them. So it makes me very nervous that my family could be deported. So I'm asking for your help to make sure those statuses are not revoked. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Yeah, that's all for you. Yeah. Give it up for him. No, yeah. I very much appreciate the detailed question presented in such a civil manner. What I can promise you is that Madeline here has got your concern, and I'll certainly go back and study it. And if you want to provide Madeline your contact information, we'll be back in touch with you with our learnings. There's probably more you know that I could learn from you. So, thank you.
Next comment comes from Michael, zip code 28806. Michael, over here. And this is a comment or question regarding Medicaid and Medicare.
Okay. Many of us in Western North Carolina rely on Medicaid, Medicare, and/or Social Security to get health care and pay our bills. Mathematically, it is impossible to enact your proposed budget, the Republican proposed budget, without making deep cuts to these programs. What is your message to constituents who depend on these programs here?
I would say that I think that you might be referring to the budget resolution that was passed out of the budget committee that I sit on about 3 weeks ago. It did make it across the House floor. It did have quite a bit of political adversity without any fact. There's nothing in that resolution that mentions the word Medicare, Medicaid, or Social Security. There's no intent from President Trump nor from the current Congress to do anything to disrupt payments for Medicare or Social Security. I have had a lot of folks rely on a statement that they feel that they heard from CBO that we don't have enough, where it said we don't have enough confidence in Congress to be able to achieve. I'm trying to answer the gentleman's question, sir. I'm sorry. CBO had made some statements that they didn't have enough confidence in Congress to be able to achieve what was in that budget resolution without touching Medicaid. I would just say to you, first of all, is there anything that comes out of CBO that we can believe? Because they're missing their projections by trillions of dollars. And I would also say that my good friend Brett Guthrie, the chairman of the Energy and Commerce Committee, who deals with appropriation for Medicaid, believes that he can achieve the $880 billion over 10 years without disrupting payments to the most vulnerable amongst us. For example, there's 2.8 there's, yeah. Yeah. And so now I want to go back to the Medicaid question. There have been $2.6 trillion in improper payments over the last 10 years. And so eliminating that alone would give us the cost savings that the Budget Committee intended to find in that budget resolution. Thank you for the question.
All right, folks, we have time for one final comment or question. One final comment or question, and it is from Elizabeth, zip code 28752. Elizabeth, right there, regarding Social Security income.
Discussions on the Hill concerning changes to Social Security and future payments to retirees in order to keep the Social Security solvent. These include raising the eligibility age for retirees from 62 to 70, or increasing the Social Security tax from 6.2% to 7%, or making sweeping cuts to recipients' benefits of up to 25%. I have a question for you, but I want to make one more clarification before you answer, please. Would you support the raising or the elimination of the Social Security income cap of the $176,100? Let me say one more thing. This change would fairly require everyone to pay their fair share of the tax. It would keep the Social Security solvent and not adversely impact recipients' benefits. As it is, millionaires and billionaires like Mr. Musk pay the same amount as someone making $176,100 per year. So would you support the raising or the elimination of the Social Security cap income of $176,100?
I've not seen any bill like that before me yet. What I can tell you with all sincerity is the issue of Social Security solvency is one of extreme importance to myself and all of my other colleagues in Congress, and we're committed to not touching the benefits of anyone that is already in the program and reaping the promises that they have been made. But the reality is we have to look at every possibility so that we can continue to keep those promises. And I believe that the people that sent me to Washington D.C. want me to make the most informed decision possible, and that I can commit to you. Yeah. You know, I'm going to promise you that I'm going to look at the that we have, keep our promises to you. All right. Hey, this has been fun. I appreciate the opportunity to spend the last 89 minutes with you. I really appreciate the energy that you brought, the contradiction of opinions from time to time, the passion that I